It's time for your daily dose of MLB predictions by Professor MJ. Thank you so much for watching this video, my friend. Today we have a slate of 8 games in Major League Baseball for Monday, April 21st. Would you like to get a pick about each match? Let's get started right away. Well, the first game concerns the White Sox and the Red Sox. And the game is starting right now as I am shooting this video. So by the time you watch it, the game will have already begun. Still, I'm going to let you know what my pick was. I shared it at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Time with those of you who signed up at mjpicks.com. The pick in question is the Red Sox team total to go under 5.5 runs. So in other words, I expect Boston to score a maximum of 5 runs in this contest. I'm not going to say any more about this game since by the time you watch this video, it will be too late. Up next, here comes my second pick regarding the Yankees versus Guardians game. In that match, I like a run to be scored in the first inning. And right now, the best current odds are minus 110, which is the same as 1.91 in decimal with bookmaker.eu. So here are some arguments supporting this play. Well, the Bronx Bombers have the best OPS in the big leagues at 809. That's fantastic. They are facing an ordinary starting pitcher in Gavin Williams. Last year, he posted a 4.86 ERA along with a 1.37 whip stat. And remember that the league average is 1.30, so that means he was a bit below average. Well, his stat was a bit higher than the average, so that means he is a below average pitcher. So far, his numbers in 2025 are quite similar to last year, despite facing some not so potent offenses like the White Sox, the Royals, and also the Angels. So I'm relying mostly on the Yankees to score in the initial frame to win this bet. But if they don't, can the Guardians put a run on the board in the first inning? Well, I'm sure they can. They are facing Clark Schmidt, who has made only one start this year due to shoulder fatigue. So all in all, I like our chances of seeing at least one run being put on the board in the first inning of the Yankees-Guardians game. All right, let's move on to the second pick of the day, which concerns the Reds against the Marlins. And the pick goes to the Marlins to win straight up, so I am taking a home underdog in this case. Well, Miami returns home after a 3-game road trip against the Phillies. Now, one of these two teams, well, I can already tell you that it's the Marlins. They qualify under a betting system called the Blowout Number 2. Let me review its rules with you. So you need to fade a team that won its previous game by a margin of 7+ runs if they are facing a different opponent. Now let's take a closer examination of the Cincinnati Reds. Well, honestly, the matchup between the Reds and the Orioles yesterday was not a good look for the game of baseball. It was an embarrassment as the Reds pounded the Orioles into the dirt of Camden Fields with a 24-2 bloodbath. So, in other words, they are entering this contest coming off a win by a margin of 22 runs, which largely exceeds the 7-run threshold I just told you about. And obviously, they are facing a different opponent. So by following the rules, we must fade the Reds, and that explains the Marlins pick on this game. Well, I have to admit that in recent years, this betting strategy has done quite poorly. But it has done fairly well this year via an 9-3 record so far. So it is gaining some of my trust back, although I'm still being cautious. So I don't bet this betting system blindly. In this case, I do like the Marlins. Max Meyer has been hurling very well this year. In 4 starts, he owns a 2.63 ERA, along with a very solid 1.13 whip stat. So he has shown a vast improvement compared to the prior 2 years in the big leagues. So overall, I've decided to side with the Marlins. I think we are getting good odds. I'm hoping that Meyer can keep it up. So this is my third pick for today. Up next, we have a matchup featuring the Padres against the Tigers. And after doing my due diligence on this game, I like the over. More precisely, I think there will be more than 8 runs that will be scored in this match. Well, so far this year, here is the ranking of the Padres and the Tigers in terms of runs scored this year. The Padres are in 14th place, whereas Detroit is in 11th place. So in other words, both clubs are above average. And now don't be misled by the low ERA posted by Randy Vasquez so far this year, which is 1.74. That looks super impressive. But here is something that is not so impressive about Vasquez. So far, he has pitched 20 2/3 innings, and in those games, he has struck out only 8 batters compared to 14 walks. This is a really, really bad strikeout to walk ratio. I don't trust this guy at all. So I think he's been very lucky to allow so few runs so far this year. Meanwhile, his counterpart will be Keider Montero, who is also quite difficult to trust. He was fairly bad last year via a 4.76 ERA. And in his lone start in 2025, things did not go so well. He gave up 5 runs in 5 innings at Milwaukee. So overall, I expect some fireworks in this game. Which is why I'm taking the over at Comerica Park today. Let's move on to pick number 5 concerning the Phillies against the Mets. This is actually one of the picks that I like the most, even though it's a bit scary. In this game, we have Aaron Nola facing Tyler McGill. So I know it's scary betting against Nola, but I'm going to go with the Mets to win straight up as slight favorites. It's incredible how Nola has been struggling this year. I mean, what the heck is going on with him? He owns a 6.65 ERA, along with a terrible whip stat, which currently sits at 1.66. Now, I know he may bounce back with a solid performance, but I'm still going to go with the Mets. One of the main reasons is because they qualify under a betting system called the Big Upset Number 2 that has done incredibly well in recent years. In fact, it has posted some gains almost every single season since 2021. Overall, we have obtained a ROI of 12.5%. So a 12.5% return on investment by following its rules over about 4 or 5 years. Here are its rules. Fade any team that lost its previous game to a team whose money line was greater than plus 150. So basically, they are the victim of a big upset. If they are also facing a different opponent and they are an underdog today. Now, in their last game, the Phillies were indeed victim of a pretty big upset. They were humbled by the Miami Marlins. Today, they are facing a different opponent, the Mets, and as you can see, they are also underdogs. So by following those rules, we need to fade the Phillies, and that's why I am opting for the Mets to win this game outright. So I'm taking the Mets money line. As you can see, the best available odds at about an hour ago were minus 118. Now maybe your bookie has minus 120, minus 125. I'm always showing you the best odds as a reference point for you. All right, so how does that sound so far? I hope you are enjoying the picks. We have 3 more to go. Up next, we're talking about the Cards versus Braves matchup. And in this game, I am going with the Braves minus half a run through the first 5 innings. So in other words, I am betting on Atlanta to be leading after 5 innings. All right, so if the game is tied, this bet is lost. The best available odds are minus 125 in American format. If you are more familiar with decimal odds, that's the same as 1.80. Okay, so in this case, what are my arguments? Well, these two teams are headed in completely opposite directions. On one side, St. Louis has dropped 4 games in a row, whereas the Braves have won 3 straight matches. Now, yesterday, overnight, the Cards had to travel from New York to Atlanta, so they will be more fatigued, whereas the Braves were already at home, so no traveling involved. It's also stunning when you look at the away and home record of these two teams, because they don't look the same under both circumstances. The Cards have been atrocious on the road as shown by their 1-9 record, whereas Atlanta has been stellar at home. They've been struggling overall this season, but at home they have posted a 6-2 record. Also, St. Louis starter Eric Fede has been very poor in his career against the Braves. He really hates facing this opponent because in 10 appearances, which included 9 starts, he owns a 0-6 record along with a dreadful 11.03 ERA against the Braves. What? That's incredibly high. The Braves will start Spencer Schwellenbach, who allowed a total of 1 run through his first 3 outings, but then he got destroyed in his last start by giving up 6 runs in 4 2/3 innings in Toronto. But given how he was pretty strong late last year and he was great early this season, I am not worried about him, and I am betting on him to bounce back strongly. I think he will shut down the Cardinals' offense early in the game, so that's why I am banking on the Braves to be leading after the first half of the game. Okay, so that was pick number 6. Sorry. Up next, let's talk about the Blue Jays against Astros game. In this one, I am taking a player proposition bet. More precisely, Kevin Gausman to record under 18.5 outs in Houston. All right, so in this case, here are a few trends or a few numbers about this bet. So this year he has lasted 6, 5 1/3, 8, and 6 innings. So basically, if you would have made this bet on all 4 of his starts, you would currently own a 3-1 record. Now, what about last season? A 20-11 record. So as you can see, it really looks like we have a lot more than a 50% chance of winning. Of course, the odds are lower in this case, but still, I think we have a high chance of winning this wager. In 7 career starts against the Astros, he owns a pretty disappointing 3-4 record, coupled with a 5.01 ERA. So that reinforces my confidence about this wager. Now, of course, one of my sources of concern is Houston's offense that has not been great. In fact, they have scored the 7th fewest runs in the league so far. And if you focus on their last 6 contests, here are the number of runs scored by the Astros. 2, 3, 1, 6, 2, and 3. So if you do the math, the average is 2.8 runs scored per game across their past 6 matches. So this is a source of concern for sure, but I still think we have a high chance of winning this bet. This may not be my favorite bet of the day though, but if you force me to make a play on this game, this is where I would go. All right, one more pick to go. Brewers, Giants. And in this game, I'm taking one of these teams to win straight up. I'm taking the Giants. By the way, it's interesting to note that this bet qualifies under the blowout number 2 strategy that I told you about earlier. Because in this case, Milwaukee yesterday won 14-1 against the A's. So they had a 13-run margin victory, and they're facing a different squad. So by following the rules that are shown on your screen right now, we must fade the Brewers, and that's why I'm taking the Giants. Now, the Giants have started their 2025 campaign as hot as a midsummer's day in Las Vegas, and this is shown by their current 14-8 record in the hotly contested NL West division. They are in third place, which is hard to believe. Now they are returning home after a 6-game road trip. The pitching matchup features Robbie Ray against Quinn Priester. Well, Priester has been very strong for the Brewers so far this year. He currently owns an incredible 0.90 ERA. But you know what? I don't think it's going to last. There will be some regression coming for him, and it starts tonight. And Robbie Ray owns a 3-0 record, but he's been struggling a little bit. He's been a bit shaky, but he's been facing some high-power offense like the Phillies and the Yankees. So I think he will do just fine, and he will limit the damage against the Brewers. So to me, I like this bet. The Giants money line, the line is quite reasonable. So this is my 8th bet. So there it is. You have my pick on each game for today. We'll see tomorrow how we've done. I will recap how we did by risking $100 per play. All right, so best of luck to all of you. I hope you enjoyed today's show. I'd like to invite you to smash the subscribe button, please. I would like to serve you and help you to grow your sports betting bankroll. As most of you know, I quit my full-time job as a university stats professor 2.5 years ago to devote my entire time to sports betting after crushing sportsbooks and casinos by over $1 million. And now I want to help as many people from around the world to beat their bookies. So hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the little bell that will notify you every time I release new content. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed today's show. So you can show your appreciation by subscribing, leaving a comment below, or simply hitting the thumbs up button. I'm Professor MJ from Quebec City in Canada. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye, my friend.